Free beer, hot wings, Eric Zane.
Man, that is some devil music.
Joe and Steve, too. Special guest here.
Hey, what's happening, white people?
Tracy Morgan, back after seeing us at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hi, Tracy.
Yeah, we were partying out there.
We
were
had a good
partying
time.
and having some fun.
Yeah.
A lot of people are surprised by how healthy you are when you see us and how not healthy you are everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, here, by the way, can I say hi?
Hi, Tom.
Hey, everybody. Tom Arnold here. I'm a big cocaine addict, and I used to be famous in the 90s. I don't know. I feel like I have to explain myself to your audience every time I come in, because I used to be famous in the 90s. I was married to a fat beast named Roseanne, and she got me addicted to painkillers, and which you shouldn't blame people for your addictions, but Rosie, I don't know if you ever made love to a woman who weighs 700 pounds on your, that kind of pressure on your testicular area. You need some kind of pain relief, so that got me addicted to painkillers. Anyways, but Tracy's doing good, and I'm really proud of him. And went to a Cocaine Anonymous meeting last night where I met some nice people. A guy named Dave Richards, who apparently, I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but Dave's got a problem with drugs, and I just tell him, just work your program, buddy. And am I talking too much?
Yeah, you see me staring with my open mouth and flies flying in and out of it.
Dude doesn't shut up, man. What's his problem?
So you did that with us, Craig, at the Super Bowl in Phoenix.
And then all hell breaks loose.
And our audience, now, we never specifically said, because, in that setting, there are people dropping by our show. And so we never specifically said that we didn't have three guests, Tracy Morgan, Tom Arnold, and Craig Gass, for that segment, even though we finished with like 20 minutes of just talking to you and you talking about various stories with Howard Stern and on Kiss and great stories. Now, portions of the audience put it together and went, oh, Craig was doing that impression of Tracy Morgan.
Very
and
small
Tom
part of
Arnold.
the audience.
Yeah.
But then it seemed like the bulk of the audience was really pissed specifically at Tom Arnold
For outing people.
and for being loud and monopolizing the
spaz.
conversation.
Yeah.
And so we had recorded that for the next day. So I'm sitting there in the airport, and these guys were too at Sky Harbor. And we're watching, and the emails are coming in going, tell that spaz Tom Arnold to shut up. And all of a sudden on Twitter, you see tweets at Tom Arnold or whatever his Twitter handle is.
And then Tom started responding.
Right.
Yes.
Tom started responding.
That's what was
Hey,
the
did you guys also notice that Sam Kinison was on the show and he's been dead for like 20 years, you dicks? Like he did say that. Yeah, he did.
I wasn't even there.
It was
not
pissed.
me.
Did he get a podcast so he could go back and listen? Because that's a good point. How would Tom Arnold have known that you did?
Well,
Sam,
I'll tell you how.
Oh, because
I've been doing comedy for 20 years now. And when I first started doing stand-up, I was living in Seattle. I'm from New York, but I was living in Seattle at the time. And there was a grand opening of a Planet Hollywood in Seattle. And a friend of mine said, dude, like all those people that are here for the Planet Hollywood thing are staying at the Sheraton or Hilton in downtown. So I called the hotel and just asked for Tom Arnold because I knew that Tom was here.
Right.
And I said, hi, Tom Arnold, please. And they said, just one moment. And the phone started ringing. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. So Tom picks the phone and he goes, hello. And I go, Hey, Tom, what's going on? It's Sam Kinison. And he goes, hey, Sam, what's going on? And Sam's been dead for like 5 years. And I go, Tom, I need you to help me out. This is going to be very important. I need you to actually help me get some cocaine. And he goes, all right, Sam, tell me what you need me to do, buddy. Just tell me what you need me to do. And I go, well, first of all, I need you to front me the cash because I need like $100. Front me the cash, and then I want you to take the cocaine. I want you to buy some cocaine, and I want you to take the cocaine to Jerry Lewis's house. And I want you to put it in Jerry Lewis's pocket, and I'll have it when he gets here in 3 weeks. Oh! And Tom goes, man, all right, you got it, buddy. I'll do it. And I just said, man, I'm sorry. I go, Tom, my name's Craig Gass. I'm a stand-up comedian. I didn't start.
you had to actually say he's been dead.
Well,
Did he find out that he was dead from you?
No.
Can you imagine? He goes, he's dead.
No,
oh my God.
Well, he knew that clearly someone's messing with him. He ran with the premise, and then I stopped and said, I didn't think you were going to run with that, but my name's Craig Gass.
You didn't think he'd yes and a phone prank.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
And it wasn't on the air. It was just for me.
Right.
It was just to do it for me.
What a nice man.
And he said, man, that's a really good impression. I'm like, seriously, like I want to call my sponsor. It's that good. It's that good. Like you're freaking me out.
Yeah.
And we stayed in touch. And then I didn't even have the decency to be respectful to him. I started doing an impression of Tom. at radio shows, outing people that I see at meetings all the time. Man, I was at this meeting last night. You know, you guys know Brett Favre. Apparently, he's addicted to kiddie porn, and but, you know, like whatever. I would just make up weird stuff. Right. And then, and I didn't see Tom for years until the Cheech and Chong roast. The roast of Cheech and Chong, I saw him, and I said, Tom, I'd never met him in person.
Right.
I'm Craig Gass. And he went, oh, hey, oh, man, you are great. Yeah, you are great. That's all he said.
Oh, yeah. Weird. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird, which bums me out. And then Tracy Morgan, I don't even know if you guys ever had him on.
We have. He didn't enjoy our show, I don't think. He wasn't mad, but we'd hear him on other shows. Joe and I did a road trip. We had Tracy on 2 or 3 times. Oh, sorry, Joe. I didn't turn your microphone on. Joe, just assume the answer. You agreed with me?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's try that one.
That is true.
Yeah. And we heard him, and he'd just sort of mail it in on our show.
Well,
and then we'd hear him on Howard or other radio shows, and we're like, God, he's killing in there. We want the Tracy Morgan that's threatening to get everyone pregnant.
Must be us.
I feel like the Tracy Morgan I was doing with you guys is the Tracy Morgan 24 hours a day because he's just certifiably insane. And I've got a million Tracy Morgan stories because I used to write for Weekend Update at Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And my favorite one, I don't know if I told you this one in Phoenix,
I don't think
if
so.
I did, you have to forgive me.
No, I don't think
because this is an amazing story. I was doing a show at Caroline's Comedy Club right before Chappelle became super, super famous.
Yeah.
It was a few weeks before his first episode of the Chappelle Show came out. I did a show opening for him at Caroline's, and this agent walked up to me and was really nervous, and he goes, did you hear about that party last night? And I go, did I hear about what? And he goes, you hear about that party? And I go, no, what party? He goes, Tracy Morgan had a party that turned into an orgy. And I go, turned into an orgy. We're standing around with our suits on, and there's naked people doing it. And then Tracy Morgan comes around the corner, takes off all his clothes, and starts doing it to people. I go, what? When was this? And he goes, last Saturday night. And right at that moment, Tracy Morgan walks around the corner. I haven't seen him in probably a year. And I go, Tracy, I heard your party was messed up, man. And Tracy rolled over and he went,
it was crazy. It was crazy. You know what's crazy about it? When you get off on my floor, you don't even hear nothing. You don't hear nothing at all. Then you start walking towards my apartment, and you still don't hear nothing. Then you open my door, and you still don't hear nothing, right? But when I open the door, there's buttholes and toes everywhere. What? Buttholes and toes? And he goes, yeah, some of them toes were in the buttholes. And he walked out. And I went, wow. Wow. That's a party. That's that's Tracy.
He seems like a guy where everybody loves him who's ever known him, but he seems like from his persona a guy who wouldn't remember anyone. Like he could run into Tina Fey and go, Tracy, it's me, Tina. I never met you.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
He was just always like, I would run into him all the time at Saturday Night Live, and then I'd see him on the streets, and then he would just, he kept calling me his Bobo. He would just say, oh, there's my Bobo. What's happening, man? That's my Bobo. And then I noticed he started calling everybody his Bobo.
Yeah.
And anytime Tracy Morgan is anywhere near you, I noticed comedians would always be like, have you talked to him? Like, people were always curious about, what is that guy's deal?
Yeah.
You know, back when he was on Saturday Night Live. But he was just, I mean, even coming up to me like, you guys know about my family? Do you know about
You grew up in a deaf family, right?
Everyone in my family's deaf,
Yeah.
right? And then Tracy Morgan walked up to me at a club one night, and he's like, so, Craig, your whole family's like retarded, right? And I was like, retarded? No, they're deaf. What are you talking about? They're not retarded. They're deaf.
Okay, so they deaf. So they deaf. So they deaf. So they wear like football helmets and stuff.
And I was like, what are you talking about?
You know what deaf means?
They're deaf. They're like, they can do anything they want. They just can't hear you.
Okay, so they deaf. So they deaf. Okay. So can they see?
Yes. What kind of deaf people you men who can't see, man? What is wrong with you? Like, yeah, he's just. I have a million stories about him, but yeah, but being able to growing up in a deaf family, I couldn't learn how to talk. From my family, I learned how to talk by copying all the voices I heard on TV, and so I've always been able to do any kind of voice that I hear, and I never got an accent from the Bronx, which is where I grew up, and now doing a lot of voice work on Family Guy and American Dad.
Yeah,
so
which is pretty sweet.
Which is awesome.
You are
I'm a fan of Family Guy.
We were worried about you because you texted out of the blue at 5:30 in the morning on a weekday, and we're like, well, comedians aren't up then. Craig Gass in studio with us.
Right away.
Gas.com.
He isn't up for the day. He's still up.
Yeah, it's not like he's up milking cows and he went, hey, I better shoot a note to those guys. And then we looked at your dates and there are none, and you're like, I'm going to be in town for a while. And we're like,
while.
We're not in Chicago or Los Angeles.
Yeah, we're not at the crossroads of major interstates.
And then we have a friend who's a comedian who he's a newer comedian, and he goes, hey, yeah, I heard you guys are gonna have Craig Gass. This is like 2 days ago. Craig Gass on. He was at open mic night tonight.
I'll go to every open mic in any city that I'm in. I want to hit every open mic. I want to meet local comedians. I want to get on stage. I want to talk to comedians. And but I timed it this week so I could be here when Marilyn Manson and Slipknot are here.
Okay.
That's your thing, huh? You're gonna go to
I'm Slipknot is angrier than I am. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not really angry at all, actually. But Willie Nelson is angrier than I am.
Right.
But I just the singer of that band, we did a roast of him. His name's Corey Taylor.
Yeah.
And he's like, did one of the best jobs ever for a guy getting roasted. He had a real good sense of humor, and we just clicked. So I just came out to hang out.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
very
We thought
cool.
you were just going to be homeless
you
here.
were a loser.
we thought you were crazy.
You were a loser, and
you were living in a
This
boxcar.
is what we thought. We thought that our show was your last bastion.
You had
ever.
alienated everyone.
You had put all your eggs into one basket, and it was the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show basket.
Like if you Google my name, it would say banned from like a list of stations.
We had an image of you walking around like a homeless loser around downtown for 1 week with no place to live, and you were living in lobbies and stuff like that.
We're the residue at the bottom of your showbiz barrel.
And then you put all your eggs into this basket for this one show at the Stash at the intersection to get you to the next idiot town.
We're going to see it on DVD as the Craig Gass comeback special.
I'm just
black leather like Elvis.
I'm just incredibly unorganized, and I book all my shows around the country around fun. I watch every I'm one of 10 Mariner fans, Seattle Mariner fans, and I book all my shows around the country around the Mariners and Seahawks road schedule. I book my shows around concerts, and
which is why you were at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, the Super Bowl was, the Seahawks are really cool to me. There's a bunch of guys on the Seahawks who are.
That's right. You were at Media Day.
Yeah.
I remember we
Big
played
Splash with some of those YouTube clips.
Well, I go to Media Day. And I also go to the Super Bowl Media Center every year. I've been doing that for maybe 10 years. I got hired by the NFL to perform at a Super Bowl event 10, 15 years ago, and I realized a lot of my radio buddies were there.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll just come out every year and I'll hang out with my radio buddies. And at the beginning of the week, before the real celebrities start showing up, because you noticed Monday and Tuesday in that media center, it was kind of slow.
A little barren.
And then by Friday, there's just a bunch of guys coming in, and you're trying to grab people. But I'll come in at the beginning of the week, and they'll say, hey, do you mind just come on for a minute, just so we can tell our audience that Adam Sandler's here. And I'll go, I love football. It's great. Shibby-doo, hee-hoo, And then they go, wow. And then their listeners back in Austin go, oh, my God, how'd you get Adam Sandler in there?
Yeah.
So, but I'll go every year. But the Seahawks, last year, a bunch of the players and a bunch of guys in the Seahawks front office are huge fans of my comedy. They're big supporters of mine. And last year on Super Bowl Sunday, the Seattle Seahawks arranged for me to have a job so I could be with the Seahawks on the field. I was the team photographer's assistant.
So you had a credential, and you're on the sideline for the Super Bowl.
For the Super Bowl, and I'm carrying all the cameras for this guy, and I'm telling him dirty jokes for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. Now it's funny because when we left you, obviously the game had not been played yet, and we had no idea what was to come, which may have been one of the most unbelievable finishes to a game. And I to this day, I still can't believe that freaking coach did not let that Marshawn Lynch run the ball. You, as a diehard Seahawk fan, you were there. You witnessed it. You were probably on the goal line when that happened, weren't you?
No, I was in the stands. They hooked me up with an opportunity to purchase seats, and I got great seats.
Okay.
And
so what was it like for you, man? That had to be like ripping the heart out of you.
Gut punch, yeah.
It honestly didn't feel
I couldn't
like
believe that.
anything bad at all. I went, oh, man, we were right there. Like, that was the greatest game I've ever seen. It was just
really.
I just felt like the game could have gone either way. It was constantly going back and forth. It was the closest game I've ever seen. And then it didn't even dawn on me to question how it finished. I just went, it was so close. And I walked out of the stadium. Then I got in my car and I was stuck in the parking lot for 3 hours listening to radio guys going, what were they thinking? How do you throw the ball? And and it really started to affect me after a couple hours. Like, wow, yeah, how do you throw the ball?
That was a bad idea.
Why?
But I didn't question it. And if anything, I feel really good about their chances this year because I feel like they're going to play with a real chip on their shoulder again.
Yeah.
And that's when they play at their best.
I saw an interview on HBO Real Sports with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And they did a piece, and
That's crazy.
he was watching the tape of it. He says he's watched it hundreds of times, and in that moment they were doing that coach's clicker where they show, okay, off the line, he's got the step on the inside. It was still the right pass. Everybody forgets that DB just made an amazing play.
Call, though.
Yeah.
They should have given it to that wrecking ball guy who every time he touches it, it's like 10 yards.
I was at the game 2 weeks earlier where they played Green Bay, and they did this really risky play where they had nothing on the board in the third quarter. It was 16-0.
Yeah.
And they were setting up for an easy field goal. And instead of kicking an easy field goal, they let their place kicker run and make an awkward throw.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
and the guy caught the ball, and everyone was like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
that was brilliant!
Yeah.
That was brilliant!" Because it worked.
Yeah.
Right.
If it didn't
fails,
work, Pete
you're an
Carroll's
idiot.
a
I
dumpster
would have
fire.
went down if I owned the team and fired that stupid 9/11 truther. Give me the headsets. Get the hell out and don't even clean out your office.
Yeah.
That stuff's ours now.
Yeah.
Get out.
Nobody.
All
at
of
the-
your copies of Loose Change are mine.
Everybody at the Super Bowl, there was not a single person who said, everybody knows when you're on the 1 yard line that there's always a guy who used to work at Church's Chicken a few weeks ago is waiting to intercept
Yes.
the ball.
Yeah.
They always put in the guy from Church's Chicken. Like that had never happened before
Yeah.
in the history
Yeah.
of any sporting event. A guy who used to work at Church's Chicken made the play. He was at Church's Chicken like a couple months earlier.
It's unbelievable.
And he made
Wow.
the interception in the Super Bowl.
And he'd
But
probably be out of the league in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of those guys where
Yeah, like
whatever happened. Who was that guy?
the helmet catch.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
guy disappeared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gone. Like
Yeah.
Timmy Smith from the Redskins back in the day, like, the record for the most rushing yards in a game and out of the league like a minute later. Yeah. Craig Gass is here. GetGass.com.
That's
At Craig
crazy.
Gass on Twitter. We found out he is not, in fact, homeless. He's
a
following
white dude.
Marilyn Manson on tour.
Yeah. He's a
That's
white
what
dude.
we're doing. More with Craig in a moment. We have to have him talk about, he was just on one of those rock and roll cruise ships. And he had an important additional duty that was added.
Well, they handed me some more work to do, and I thought, well, I'm just here to do stand-up comedy. And they go, well, do you mind getting up in the morning and doing something for us? And I looked at what they wanted me to do, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it. But I'm going to do it in a way that's going to mess with everybody.
Craig will tell that story next and more. We'll take a break. It is the Free Beer and Hot Wings Show. Craig Gass is here. Comedian, getgas.com, at Craig Gass. Comedy on Twitter. Jake thinks you sound like Seth Rogen when you're just talking normal.
I get that sometimes.
Do you? I don't hear
Yeah, it
this
depends on
much.
what kind of voice I'm doing that week. If I'm doing, if I'm working on something for Family Guy, I get stuck in that voice for the week.
No kidding.
Like I'll go in.
Sort of like you
and,
go somewhere and you pick up an accent if you stay there long enough.
Yes,
Like
and
regular
I'll
people
get,
do.
and I'm just grateful to be working on the show because I'm a fan, and I almost screwed it up. My first episode of Family Guy that I worked on, I think I told you guys I was so nervous I creeped out Seth because it was just me and Seth in the recording studio,
Right.
And he kept doing one line as Peter Griffin where he kept saying,
This is crazier than when Al Pacino was a slumlord laundromat tenant. Meh.
and then they cut to me as Al Pacino, surrounded by a bunch of broken down washers and dryers, going,
You're out of order. And you're out of order. And you're all out of order.
and I did that 3 times, and Seth goes, all right, man, I think we're good. But I was so nervous because I thought we were going to be friends now because we're working together. And I go, hey, so you want to hang out at all? And he goes, hang out. What do you mean hang out? And I go, I don't know, you want to grab a coffee or something? He goes, I got to work. I go, all right, do you want me to leave? And he goes, yeah, get the hell out of here. I'm sorry.
No, man, I'm
out.
still working.
Yeah, and then I didn't hear from anyone from Family Guy for 6 months. And then they started calling me every couple of months and saying, hey, can you do this voice? Can you do this voice? But every time I've been in since that first recording session, Seth is never around. It's always this guy named Mike Henry. Mike does the voice of Cleveland and the creepy old guy. And every time I see Mike, I go, hey, Mike, is Seth around? And every time I see him, he goes, don't worry about Seth. We'll get you out of here real quick. And we'll get you out of here really
It's
quick.
like he needs you, but
hilarious.
you've
You've been around long enough. You know that code.
Yeah.
I do, and that's why it bugs me out.
Don't
But I
worry
was
about
just-
Seth.
It was enthusiasm that made me come off weird. I'm not a weird. I swear I'm not a weird guy. But yeah. And then everyone. It's a weird thing because everyone who I do an impression of has tried to meet me at some point. And we were talking off the air about Gene Simmons, and he's a guy who I did an impression of on the Howard Stern show that first the employees of KISS started contacting me and saying, hey, I got a story about Gene. Maybe you can use this. And the stories were horrible about Gene Simmons. And I would say, I can't say that on the air. That's one story was a guy contacted me and said, you know that I've been working for KISS for on and off for 15 years, right? Okay. A few years ago, Gene hooked up with Miss America while we were on the road. And it was the reigning Miss America of that year. And he actually hooked up with her. The next night, Gene hooked up with a whore. Just a girl that was such a mess that even the guys in the road crew were like, jeez, did you see that?
And they've seen it all.
And they've seen it all. And then the next night, they had a day off. KISS had a day off in a town that was so small that the band and the road crew had to stay at the same hotel. Typically, the band will stay at a nice hotel and whatever. So, but they're staying in the same hotel. The guy's telling me from his point of view, he goes, I happened to be in the bar of the hotel that day, and I happened to be, and I turned around, and I saw Gene walking through the lobby, dragging this enormous girl through the lobby with him, gets in the elevator, pushes the button, and then looks at me through the hall and folds his arm and goes, oh, yeah. Bing, and then the doors closed. He said, the next day at soundcheck, he saw Gene, and he goes, Gene, hey, did you hook up with that girl last night? And Gene goes, of course. And he goes, Gene, didn't you hook up with Miss America the other night? And he goes, Steve, listen to me, okay? I'm going to give you some great advice. You cannot have filet mignon every night. Sometimes you got to go to McDonald's. Is that the worst story ever?
Oh, my God.
You got to go to McDonald's. Like that's his viewpoint on women that everybody who works for KISS is always giving me stories about him. And
can by the way, imagine if you're one of those women who has been McDonald's in the past and you realize you just got labeled as the Hamburglar.
I think there's a grimace. I have there's
Grimace,
a friend of mine, John Bianelli, works for the band Aerosmith. He works in their front office, and John is the guy who 20 years ago taught me how to do a Gene Simmons impression. And whenever we call each other, we always call each other as Gene Simmons. And like if I'll call him, he'll pick up the phone and I'll go, hello, and I'll go, hi, John, it's Gene Simmons from KISS. And he'll go, what's up, Gene? And I'll go, not much. Listen, we have a brand new product I'm very excited about. It's a KISS toilet. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the difference between a regular toilet and a KISS toilet? Well, I'll tell you. The KISS toilet is a pay toilet. You put in a quarter, okay, then it plays your favorite KISS song, you do your business, whatever. And that's how we communicate with each other. Well, about 8 years ago, KISS and Aerosmith put a package tour together, and they toured. John works in the front office for Aerosmith. He picks up the phone, and he got a cold call from the real Gene Simmons. And the cold call was simply, hello, and he hears Gene go, hi, John, this is Gene Simmons from KISS. And he goes, what's up, you fat Jew bastard? And there's a long pause. And Gene goes, I'm sorry. And there's another long pause. And he goes, Craig?
Dear God, please let me off the hook.
And then Gene said, no, it's not Craig Gass. It's Gene Simmons from KISS. Listen, I need to get a hold of Steven and Joe.
And he went right into his question. He didn't even, wasn't even fazed.
Thank God
by
he was aware, though.
Because he knows of you. He knows what you
bastard. Oh, my God.
He has an incredible sense of humor about himself. But I don't find that other people do. I did a show in Toronto last year where I wanted to invite Rush, the band is from Toronto, right? And I called their manager, Ray Daniels, who's been with the band since day one, and I wanted to invite him to my show. I was doing a show in a big theater in Toronto. I didn't care about inviting anyone from Rush. I really wanted Ray to come to my show because Ray's been with Rush from the beginning, and Rush toured with KISS for years before both of them got big.
Right.
For whatever reason, they had a great friendship. And so I called up and said, hi, this is Gene Simmons. I need to speak with Ray Daniels, please. And they go, oh, hold on. They put me through to Ray's office. Hi, Ray Daniels' office. Hi, it's Gene Simmons from KISS. I need to speak with Ray Daniels, please. And this woman said, oh, you know what, Gene? He's actually, he's out of town today, but he'll be back tomorrow. Can I get your number and I'll have him call you back? And I said, I'll tell you what. How about you give me his cell phone number? And she goes, I just want to make sure it's really you before I do that. And I said, well, then ask me a question. And she goes, ask you a question? And I said, yeah, you want to know if it's me. Ask me a question to prove that it's me. And she goes,
Oh, God.
I'll tell you what, I'll ask you a question. Who's the greatest rock band of all time? And she goes, I'm guessing it's KISS. That's right, it's KISS. And she goes, all right, it's 416. And she gave me because I was such a dick. She actually gave me the number, and
She gave up.
she gave up, and I called Ray Daniels, and I left, and I've never met him, and I left him this message. I go, Ray. Oh man, this is so funny. You don't know me, but my name's Craig Gass. I'm a comedian. I've been on a bunch of TV shows, King of Queens, Sex and the City. I do voices on Family Guy. And I'm in town to perform at the Queen Elizabeth Theater, and I just prank called your assistant, and I hope you have a sense of humor about this, but she gave me your number, and I never heard from her.
No kidding.
I said, hey, I'm doing a show.
By the way, I would watch a web series of you in videos just calling rock band management as Gene Simmons
would too.
demanding that their employees say that KISS is the greatest rock band of all time.
Oh my God.
The idea of that happening, like, you call Metallica's office and Lars is sitting next to her and she says, yes, the greatest rock band in the world is KISS, Gene. Thank you. Okay, bye.
If you want to have fun with prank calls, as Al Pacino, anyone in the world will pick up the phone for Al Pacino. If there's anyone you want to contact and get on the phone, for some reason, everyone will have the ego to say, of course Al Pacino would like to speak with me. And they'll pick up the phone.
I would.
And no matter what kind of absurd thing I say to them, they'll do it. I did it a couple weeks ago in Louisville.
You don't have time. You can't tell it unless you can tell it in 3 seconds
we
or less.
told you. We got
All
9
right,
seconds.
we're going to hold you over for one more segment. Is that okay?
Yeah, get ready.
Yeah, you're
kids.
homeless. Where are you going to go? Craig Gass is here. We'll
your
take
pants on.
take a break. It is the Free Beer and Outweek Show. In studio with us, Craig Gass.
Hey! What's happening?
You hear him on Family Guy and all sorts of other things. Getgas.com, at Craig Gass Comedy on Twitter.
And if you want to see some weird pictures, go to facebook.com/I love gas. I love gas with 2 S's, and you'll see some really weird pictures. Anytime I'm in a weird situation, I always try to document it.
I'm going to go there.
Let me just kind of paint a picture. Like I went to a heavy metal concert about 3 years ago in Long Beach, California. Slayer and Megadeth.
Okay.
And the guys in Slayer and Megadeth, believe it or not, are huge comedy fans. They love coming out to comedy shows.
There's a lot of overlap between rock and, I think, especially a certain brand of comedian.
I've noticed that most bands are loaded with goofballs.
Yeah.
And most comedians wish they were cool.
Yeah.
So there's a mutual
Yeah.
respect there. So I contact somebody from Slayer and asked if I could bring some comedians to go see the concert. And they said, yeah. And they gave us backstage passes. And I wanted to go back and see whatever it is the devil worshippers are doing. I was like, we got to go backstage and see what kind of weird stuff's going on at the Slayer concert. So we're walking backstage at the Slayer concert, and this guy stopped me, and he went, Craig Gass, you're a comedian, right? Hey, I just want to say hi. I love all your stuff. My name's Kenny. And I go, hey, Kenny, nice to meet you. Are you Kenny G? And he goes, yeah. And I go, what the hell are you doing at a Slayer concert? Kenny G is backstage at a Slayer concert. And he goes, I've just, my kid's a big metalhead. And right at that moment, a Slayer fan pounced on Kenny G, like a hardcore denim jacket with patches. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up? Kenny G, Slayer. Yeah, what's up, dude?
And he's like, I don't know if that sounds right. Does that sound evil enough?
Yeah, that sounded pretty evil.
That sounds
Yeah.
appropriate level of
Feels like
evil.
the Cookie Monster to me.
dark.
Cookie.
Okay.
I like the devil.
We're pretty close.
All right, I'll work on that. But anyway, so while Satan is on top of Kenny G, I pull out my camera phone and I go to my buddy. I go, dude, that's Kenny G. Just said hi, me, take a picture, but make it look natural. Make it look natural. And I wait for Kenny and I go, Kenny, hey, what were you saying about And I'm doing this face
Yeah.
that's like my casual, I'm just hanging out with Kenny G
Right,
face.
right.
Like,
It's a
hey,
candid.
Ken man. But I see my friend with the camera phone going, where do I push? I don't.
Oh.
What do I?
worst.
Like, nobody knows how to operate a camera phone.
I
And
know.
I'm trying to keep Kenny G engaged. When the singer of Megadeth starts walking behind us, and he stops right behind me and Kenny G, and I hear him say to his friends, "Are you guys leaving?"
Oh, that sounds about right.
And he goes, "Okay, you want to say a prayer? Okay, come on." And they formed a Megadeth prayer
wow.
circle behind me and Kenny G, and I'm looking at my friend going, "Take the goddamn picture." and he got the picture, and it's on my Facebook page. Go to facebook.com.
Oh, I gotta see this.
/
Yeah,
I love gas with 2 S's. Go to my profile pictures and you'll see a picture of me talking to Kenny G while Megadeth is in a prayer circle behind that will never
That's a
happen.
one of a kind.
That literally will never happen again in humankind. Yeah, that's
No.
So forgive me for that long-winded story, but it's worth it. Trust
You
me.
can jump in toll free 1-800-947-3979. On Twitter, it's at FBHW. Craig Gass Comedy, Gas always with 2 S's, including the website as well, getgas.com. You started to talk about Al Pacino, where you would call as Al Pacino in the last segment, right before we ran out of time.
Yes,
And you can get anyone to pick up. That makes sense.
It's weird. We actually got from a radio station once. I think I was in Atlanta. We decided, I wonder who would pick up the phone for Al Pacino. And the more famous we got, in terms of who we're trying to get on the phone, the easier it was to get people on the phone. Donald Trump picked up the phone.
Wow.
We talked to Al Pacino. We got Tom Brokaw. Jay Leno picked up the phone. Dave Letterman almost picked up the phone. His assistant said, "Listen, he's in a meeting right now. It's one of those meetings where it's like, we're on lockdown. You can't interrupt the meeting." And but the woman who I talked to, I said,
Well, can you do me a favor? Tell Dave to call me as soon as he gets this, because I want to talk to him.
and she goes, "Can I just tell you that I love you?" And she started.
There is
crying.
no way you would not think it's Al Pacino
Yeah.
if you work at Letterman's office.
No,
You know what I mean?
it
Like
makes
if-
sense.
If you
In a
called the
weird
radio show, I'd hang up on you. I'd be like, "Yeah, beat
Yeah,
it,
okay,
you know,
yeah, I'm
nice
sure.
prank call."
Right.
And then if you use like Tom Arnold and say, "Hey, I want to get a good table tonight at the restaurant," yeah, well, get in line, jerk, and then
Yeah.
they'll hang up.
Yeah.
You're on your own. But it's weird because everyone who I do an impression of has tried to meet me at some point, and it's led to all these awkward moments. Al Pacino, I prank called. And he's told people he loved the prank call, but I had dinner with Christopher Walken once, and he hated me because there was another comedian at dinner, Richard Belzer, who kept trying to get me to do my Christopher Walken impression for Christopher Walken.
Oh, that seems very uncomfortable.
And it was
the fact that Belzer is urging you on, hey, do it. And you're like,
he actually waved him over the table and said, "Chris, get over here. Chris, come here, sit down." It was a big dinner.
Shut up, Munch.
Yeah. It was a big dinner before the roast we were going to do. And Chris sat down, and you could tell from his body language he's not interested in conversation.
oh, no.
There's a steak at every table.
This is
and
bad.
He's sitting down. And then Belzer leans in and goes, "Chris, this is Craig Gass. I know people do impressions of you, but you gotta hear this." And I go, "Richard, he doesn't want to hear them." And he goes, "No, just hold on, just Chris, listen to me."
Oh, God,
Now
I'd be
you
so uncomfortable.
Chris, will you look at me, Chris? Look at me. Okay, this is Craig Gass. Okay, Craig, do your impression. And then Walken drops his fork and knife. Just stares at me, and I go, "Oh, God." And I go,
Well, listen, I don't even know if this sounds like you at all. But what I try to do is I try to sound as weird as possible. And every once in a while, I say the word cowbell. Pow!
and Walken just went, "Wow." And then he went back. And then Belzer starts going, hold on. Have you ever heard anyone do a Sam Kinison impression? Now he's running me through.
Okay, now you're going through the
It's
catalog.
like you're on a morning zoo where the only listener is Christopher
Yeah.
Walken, and he hates you.
Yes, and Walken is staring at me. I'm going through all these impressions, and then finally Belzer goes, "Hold on." He goes, just one more. He goes, "Nobody does." And Adam Sandler. "All right, do your Adam Sandler." I go,
Hi, listen, I know that you're eating your food, and I want to leave you alone. And so I'm just going to say, I'm sorry. Shibby-doo. Hee-hoo. Walken cut me off in the middle of the last impression and said, "Listen, I get it.
you're talented. And then he went back to his booth. I was like, I'm not bothering you. He's bothering you.
Don't be mad at me.
I'm just following his lead.
However, you can put that quote on your website where it says, for booking, contact Christopher Walken. Listen, I get it. You're talented.
That'll be on the back of my book. Yeah. But it's a cool thing. Everyone I do an impression
God.
of has tried to meet me. And the Kiss stuff, for me, is exciting because I'm a huge rock fan.
Yeah.
And I actually, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are both really supportive of me. And another story that I heard from the Kiss camp was Gene Simmons. A guy called me up and said, hey, there's a guy who runs a recording studio here who wants to talk to you. And the guy said, listen, I got a Gene Simmons story for you. And I just need to tell you, he's the first guy to ever screw me over in the entertainment business. And it's because he came in here years ago with a band that he was producing. And at the last minute, Gene wanted to switch into my largest recording space for the same amount of money. And when he came in, he said, did you get my message? I want to go to Studio A. And I told him, yeah, I did. And I don't know if you got my message, but somebody's recording in Studio A. And I asked them if they would switch, and they said no. And he said, do they know that Gene Simmons from Kiss is here? And he goes, you know what? If you want to ask them, you can, but I'm not going to ask them again. He said, okay, where's Studio A? And he said, it's down the hall. It's the last door on the right. So Gene goes walking down the hallway, opens up the door to Studio A, looks inside, and sees the Wu-Tang Clan recording an album, slowly closes the door, comes back up to the front and goes, right, where's Studio B? He never even opened his mouth to the Wu-Tang Clan.
He's not an idiot.
Yeah.
We just had there's a band we know that's out trying to make a living, and they're having some success, but the music business is hard. They're called Wayland, and they've been on the show, and we've been following their career. We had a listener who suggested that we need to call Phil and say, hey, I know you're traveling. Phil is the guitarist and sort of the spokesman, but Gene Simmons is in the studio. And we just pitched the band about pitched
opening.
Gene about you guys.
Okay.
And then we could
Steve,
tell him.
Look, Steve already. These are the nicest, hardest working guys in the world.
is already
Steve
pulling
already
the
feels
eyeball.
bad. You feel bad,
Dude, you can't. If
no,
Mitch was
do
on
it.
the phone, he'd start to cry.
And then what we do is we tell them that we have a list of requests. I'll sign you, but you need to.
Okay.
I'm going to keep all the money. Will be number one.
Steve's trying to ice it.
Number two, you got to pay me. Number three, what does your sister look like?
Okay.
Steve, do you have you want to call Mitchell or Phil?
Oh, you'd kill him.
What do you think we should call him?
Oh, Mitch will cry.
Either one's a winner.
Okay,
Yeah,
I know you
either
don't
one is
want to,
funny.
but I mean, if you had to choose, which member of the band would you prefer?
No. See, you can't call Phil because Phil's savvy. He's business savvy. He handles all of it. You got to call like Tyler or somebody who doesn't know anything.
somebody who's
Yeah,
a
but
little
they don't
dumber.
matter.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You have to call someone who matters.
Yeah.
Well, Phil's
it
going to
wouldn't be-
believe it.
it
Why
wouldn't
would
be
we call
Keith
him
or
and tell him
Tyler.
that we have Gene Simmons and,
Whose number do you have? Do you have all their numbers?
I think I have everyone but Mitch's.
Okay.
All right, you dial somebody.
I say, Phil, you get him on and tell him what's going on, and then we'll say, well, once you give us the thumbs up that he's on hold and can hear the show, I'll say, all right, Gene, we told you about this band Wayland, and you were impressed by how hard they're working. I think we have one of the guitarists on.
Perfect.
And then we'll bring Phil in.
And while you dial him up, I will do a live read as Gene Simmons.
Hi, everybody.
That's perfect.
This is Gene Simmons from Kiss here to tell you about Coors Light. I don't even drink, but if I did, I would drink Coors Light. And also, remember, the next Kiss tour is for the fans, which is why it's brought to you by Fairfield Inn and Suites. When Kiss goes on tour, we stay at Fairfield Inn and Suites, the place where Ace likes to smoke. Fairfield Inn and Suites. Go to fairfieldinandsuites.com or go to kissonline.com and click on my codpiece. It'll take you right to the hotel.
They literally will sell
Not
anything.
expecting Fairfield in Suite.
They literally will sell anything.
Well,
He's getting them on the phone. He's trying to get someone on the phone.
Trying to.
Yep.
They're probably like.
Well, they're musicians. They're probably
Waiting
Are
for
they
a-
on the show a lot?
fairly regularly, yeah.
Okay.
In fact,
So-
in a couple weeks they'll be live with us.
Yeah. All right. Let's hope that none of them are getting texts from their friends going, "They're gonna mess with you, dude."
They are.
Oh, yeah. I bet you're probably right.
Now I got his voicemail.
Got
I
his
think they're on
voicemail.
the West Coast now, so it's
Oh,
like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
man,
I think they're
I-
living in a tree in Yosemite.
I can give you a list of celebrities that we could do, and if you guys want to later in the week, just prank call whoever. We can have fun with it.
I
So-
do want to.
All right, let's do that.
I do want to.
We'll get a list of people that we'll mess with, and then we'll call them up, and then
Jack
But
Nicholson.
yes.
We'll ruin their days and brighten ours.
It's funny because like anyone like Gene Simmons is a real divisive guy, but everyone like I've met people who I'm excited to meet because I'm a fan of theirs, and then they want to tell me stories about like I was a Skid Row fan, and I met Sebastian Bach, and I go, Sebastian, my name is Craig Gass. And he goes, dude, I know who you are, dude. You're the guy that does the Gene Simmons impression. And I go, yeah. And he tells me a story. He goes, dude, first of all, I went to that guy's house, and that guy has like a freaking museum, like a Kiss museum in his house, and I saw a bag with like 100 Kiss cell phone covers, and I go, dude, what the hell is that? And he said, that's our new promotion for Kissmas. It's our new Kiss cell phone cover. And Sebastian said, dude, can I have one of those? And he goes, I wish I could. But if you go to kissonline.com, and he was like, you've got 100 of them right here. And he refused to give up a piece of plastic
Poor
to Sebastian Bach. Yeah. I mean, I love that guy.
Got 100 of them.
All right, so we'll do some prank calls later in the week then.
Okay. Yeah, I keep watching the hotline, by the way. So if he calls back, Steve, you got to get in character. Don't wuss out on us now.
Right. No,
Don't have feelings. Those are for humans.
Yeah.
All right.
We didn't hire humans on the show.
I'm going to send you Mitch's number 2.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see everyone here at the show here in Grand Rapids on Friday, but go to my Facebook page if you want to see some weird pictures. Can I talk about one more picture on there?
Yes, you can.
There is a moment on my it's facebook.com/ILoveGas with 2 S's. There's a picture on there from the roast of Gene Simmons. There was a moment where Steve-O from Jackass got thrown out of the roast.
Okay.
And they never explained why he got thrown out. And the reason is because what he did to get thrown out happened during a break in filming. So nobody captured it on film. But it literally happened right next to me. And I just went, oh, my God. Oh. And I got a perfect picture of it. TMZ tried to buy the picture from me.
No kidding.
And I wouldn't sell it to him. It's facebook.com/ILoveGas with 2 S's. Go to my profile pictures, and you'll see a perfect picture of Steve-O from Jackass relieving himself on Danny Bonaducci. It's the funniest picture you've ever seen. And it's amazing.
Wow.
Because, yeah. Do you see it?
Is it in your profiles?
Yes, in the profile.
Joe, did you find it?
Not yet.
No. Oh, they're still trying to get him on the phone?
They're efforting, yes.
I'm ready to.
I don't think it's going to happen, though.
I'm ready to sign. I'm
There
here
it
to help
is.
out some bands.
Oh, we have somebody?
Nope. I'm good. But before we go, before you go, we have to stay. We have jobs.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah,
homeless drifters.
We're not
Craig
transients.
Gass in studio. An impression you haven't done yet to sell Schneider.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, Schneider. Starting from right here, right? No,
yeah,
Chuck
you can
Harris.
do it. Yeah.
As long as you hit that one part Fever needed.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, this is Paul Stanley. You know, truck drivers play a critical role in the nation's economy.
That's a bad Paul Stanley. Let me try something else. All right.
You don't.
Yeah.
Take it again.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
No, I did Gene Simmons.
Yep.
Hi, this is Morgan Freeman. You know that truck drivers play a critical role in the nation's economy, and demand for drivers is higher than ever. Schneider has delivered rewarding truck driving careers for 80 years, which is how long this read is going to take. And they continue adding customers to their industry-leading freight base. That means even more opportunities for you in 2015. Why did I pick the slowest voice?
Hey, everybody, this is Sam Kinison. You want to get the respect and compensation that you deserve as Schneider, and you want to choose the options that work best for you. You can go team or solo. You can have a company driver or owner-operator. You can do daily, weekly, or bi-weekly home time. You can take a van, a tanker, an intermodal, dedicated, or port day freight. If you're looking for it, Schneider has it. So check out everything that Schneider has to offer. And apply to join the team at SchneiderJobs.com or call toll-free 800-44-PRIDE. That's SchneiderJobs.com or 800-44-PRIDE. You got that, you jerk? Oh.
Craig Gass.
There you go.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too, man. We'll do prank calls later.
GetGas.com, 2 S's on gas. Same thing at CraigGassComedy.com. And on Facebook, what is it again?
Facebook.com/ILoveGas with 2 S's. Look at all the weird pictures. There's tons of them on there.
Go see him at the intersection in Grand Rapids on Friday night and wherever Slayer is playing next.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever fun happens or the Seahawks.